So, what role is blockchain going to play in, cybersecurity? Is that, Omar, you want to take that question?
Okay, so I think what we are seeing is that blockchain is going to change many things. Complete industries will change, such as financial industry specifically. They are the fastest to adopt blockchain, as we are seeing from EY perspective. And I think one of the challenges this will face, that you will need to monitor even your the mobile phones of your customers, because they will be using technologies that are cloud-based, from maybe blockchain-based, to authenticate payments, transfers, wire transfers, international money transfers. Will go through that, not through the regulator, for example. So your threat landscape will be your desktops of the users, and the mobile phones, and the agents used, or wearables, whatever is connected and used for that will be used as well. So this is a bigger risk that needs to be covered.
Okay. Yeah. You wanted to add?
Yeah. So on blockchain, I think definitely there might be some development in future, but as we speak, there is not much progress here, because we need some regulatory guidelines, and certain things are not available at the moment, and this is being blocked basically.
So
regulatory level.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So you mentioned regulatory guidelines, but how is compliance enforcing companies, compelling companies to, standardize the security practices in different verticals? If you want to start,
As I mentioned in my opening speech, that in Qatar it's very good actually from the banking sector perspective, that we have got three regulators basically. Directly we report to the central bank. Then we have got QCert and So we have got QCert and So in Qatar we have got at least good three regulators. We directly report to Qatar Central Bank. So they have got published very comprehensive and good guidelines for the financial industry, which they have to comply. And definitely MOI and QCert are always there to make sure that generic guidelines are compliant. So as far as the banking specific guidelines are there, they are very well defined, very well documented, and very well followed also. And banks are already in advance in terms of security, and after these guidelines, there are more focus into the next generation of monitoring in terms of SOC, network behavior analytics, endpoint protection, and things like that. And definitely there is heavy investment also going on in this space.
So obviously banking is always at the forefront of adoption of cybersecurity. But does that hold true for other verticals? I mean, your verticals, the verticals that you belong to?
For the banking industry, he's right. They have strong cybersecurity and policies and regulations and all those kind of things about the cybersecurity. But if we talk about the construction domain, very few companies in the Qatar as maybe following the ISO 27001, the standards and other policies and other things. Because mainly the problem that as an IT department, even to get some budget from the management, like we are saying that for the initial this year, we need to be invest particular amount to be for the cybersecurity, or we need to implement the new ISO 27001 or other law to be implemented for the regulations. It is difficult to be convince them. So as an IT manager, even I feel difficult to be get on the past 2 years, but now in the past recent 6 months, they agree for me, and I got the budget, so it started for the ISO 27001 to be make the standards. And the main thing that the user, internal user, how we going to be give them the training and how the threat is coming to the organization. So if we give the well training to the user also, because the user, how much we can monitor the user, so how much threat we can be avoided. So we have to have the good monitoring system for the users also, and the network also, and even for the IT department staff itself. Because in Qatar, I don't know how many contracting company has the data analyst or the cybersecurity expert. They have the specified job role. I think it's very few of the company will be. So still in the cybersecurity level for the construction company need to be improved more. But in the banking sector or any other international firm, it's fine. So we have to be, because we will consider the budget, like suppose if you need to be implement any new system. So first one, the management will be say that, okay, go by the something lesser budget. So the problem, whenever go to the standard level, like a lesser budget or something, the attackers can come to the point of the level to the inside, it will be higher. Like it's, for example, if we are investing something for the ERP, like a smaller system, like any local, so vulnerability of that product is very huge. Because when in my company last 4 years, I have used some local product. When we do the penetration test, we found many vulnerability.
Okay.
But thanks to God, there is nothing happened until now. But we changed now to the international level to be implement the new system. So that's all.
Thank you. You want to add?
Yeah, from a compliance perspective, actually, because Ministry of Transportation and Communication is giving us very good support, basically, especially in our industry. And when I say this, for nowadays, security approach is totally changed, actually. Earlier, we have the border security. Now, it is a holistic security, what we call it. And in a holistic security, we define the entire threat landscape. So what organization can follow is basically, because every specific organization has some specific requirements, so they can define their own security landscape, and they should have a threat intelligence maturity model developed for themselves. So this is, they have to continually improve and through a process. That is the only way we can, because each industry demands, regulatory industry, basically they have that minimum regulations enforced by the regulator itself. But the rest of the industry can follow this security maturity model, basically. That's the approach to have a strong compliance.
Thank you. So what is the best approach to building an enterprise security framework? When anyone wants to, multi-layered. Yeah, anyone wants to take
I think I will take the answer from him and follow up. I think I agree with the idea that the best security standards we're seeing are the ones developed by the entities themselves and not forced upon them. So one of the very famous standards that is very effective is called NERC-CIP. It's for electricity companies in the US. This was not developed by the US government. It was developed by the utility companies coming together. They said, we know our industry better than anyone. We know our threat landscape. We know our systems. Let us write a standard for us, and we will commit that we will apply it, because security is not a competition. It's a trust, whether the industry is trusted or people will lose trust in us. So, but this requires maturity. This requires people who know security is not something to be ashamed of. I'm hacked, I cannot say it. No, you have to recognize that and become brave and embrace that risk and help each other and share information. But this requires maturity. Until we reach that level, we have to follow the approach of QCert and MOTC and all of this, because this is the minimum requirements.
Thank you. So, just a last question. And, with more deployments in the cloud, is the trust factor, is that an issue that you're facing?
Digitalization, the word is coming to the end with the cloud, and then it will be the artificial intelligence. Then the latest things going to become for the, what you mentioned, for the blockchain, okay? So next 5 years, all the people inside this room maybe will be talk more about the blockchain also. So any organization want to come to the cloud, okay, of course, you have to go to the cloud. Because why means the biggest cloud provider like Microsoft or Google or Amazon, they are concentrating more only on this area in the cloud, how they can be secure. And they are investing yearly $2 billion or more than the money about to be concerned. That means, for example, today if I want to move to the cloud to like Microsoft or Amazon or any other cloud platform, I can say that it's 100% secure and I can be trusted, because there is a lot of people is there from, they have two type of team, like a red team and blue team, what I know from the Microsoft. So they are trying both at the time to be, make the standards to be protect the threats. As my organization, I don't have the time to do this with someone to be protect all the time to be network. So there is a huge money I can save if I move to the cloud. Like all the, like even the network infrastructure or the ERPs or any other application, all the processes must be like not to be sudden, like a step by step. So there is a huge journey will be there to be reached on this level for the digitalization. So of course, cloud is trusted, and we can be use all our business operation to be move as soon as possible. And the law, if we talk about some laws like GDPR or some other, that we should need to be double check within the governments in the locally and internationally. But of course, cloud is the better option.
Thank you, gentlemen. We now would like to ask if the audience has any questions for the panel.
I would like to ask you, any specific artificial intelligence-based spam software available in the industry? The reason why I'm asking, there are mails coming to organization. There are mails coming to organization as genuine as possible.
We didn't get the question, I think. If you can just repeat it.
Okay.
Maybe just hold it closer. Yeah.
Are there any artificial intelligence-oriented spam filter products in the security space? On premises, we are looking. The reason is there are mails coming to organization as close as possible, as close to genuine as possible. Maybe there may be a small dot or something. There is a minor difference. And then these mails are requesting a payment transfer. The attachment shows as if that is a genuine coming from one of our vendor or one of our supplier asking payment transfer to a new bank account or new location. So if the accountant by just oversight he may pay to the wrong account, then we may not able to recover. How can we control these things using any spam or phishing filter or software available in the industry? If there are any one, please tell us, then we can look into that.
Sure, we're happy to go. I think it's definitely in our domain. That's what that's why our organization started in the first place. I think, as I mentioned, email being carrying 90% of the attacks into the organization, especially the malwareless ones, as you mentioned now. We're seeing them being far more sophisticated than an attacker just registering a new domain that looks similar to yours. They're starting to use different types of characters known as punny code or homoglyphs or homographs, where they use non-Western characters. Now, if they encode that domain looks exactly like yours. So when the email gets sent to your organization, the domain looks exactly the same. Or what we also see is a big increase in the supply chain attacks, where an attacker pretends to be one of your customers or suppliers. And they'll pretend to be company ABC sending you email, and then you respond with them. And of course, the attackers are not just focused on just make a transfer, because they understand that businesses are well aware of these type of attacks, and businesses have changed their processes and their systems. So just from a technology point of view, there's various ways to address that, but we typically look at multiple identifiers within one email to identify if it is an authentic email or not. One of them are, we use algorithms to compare the incoming domain with your internal domains, and we look for any variances within the actual domain. But you can't just base it on that. You'll look for other things like a display name match. Why is an external person using an internal person's name, number one? And number two, why are they sending an email that looks, or using a domain that looks very similar to my domain? So there's already two suspicious things. Then the third thing could be they registered that domain very recently, because the moment they register the domain, they want to perform the attack immediately, because they don't want that domain to get blacklisted. So there's a number of identifiers, and then of course you stop that at a perimeter level. And hand in hand with that is your user education. So, I think it's as important to deploy some form of a user awareness and training education platform where you can test your users and educate your users at the same time, because we know that 95% of all your data breaches are caused by human error. It's employees that are making the payments or responding to these emails. So those are the two key ways in terms of how we address the problem when it comes to malwareless attacks and emails. So we do this as Mimecast. That's what we specialize in. Email security is one of the things that we do. So that's just one of the aspects and how we address this problem. Like I said, as well as the human side of it, which is the user awareness and training platforms.
Any more questions?